You know, I love every member of my family, despite the differences. I don't look at her as an evil stepmother. I see someone who has done everything that she can to, you know, improve her own reputation and her own image.
Everything changed the moment Lady Colin Campbell looked into the camera and declared that Meghan Markle's baby bump didn't quite behave like a baby bump should. It wasn't the first time someone suggested something strange about the births of Archie and Lilibet. But this time, it wasn't just whispered on shady internet forums. This time, it was on live broadcast. Royal biographers Lady C and Tom Bower, two of the monarchy's most unapologetic truth-tellers, dragged the conversation straight into the spotlight, daring Prince Harry and Meghan to sue them. And now we may be hurtling toward a full-blown legal showdown, the kind that could detonate Buckingham Palace tradition and put deeply buried truths on public display.
Other thing I'm going to say, and I know this is weird, but there's one of those conspiracy theories on the internet that she might not have actually carried her babies, one or both, that they may have used a surrogate. Trust me, because I'm neck deep in all the news around these two. And there are many people who long before today are convinced she used surrogates and that her pregnancies were fake, one or both of them.
So Tom Bower claimed his team had pulled hospital records, dug deep into what should have been a routine announcement, and found nothing. No paperwork, no confirmation, not even the usual subtle nods from royal aides. Lady Colin doubled down, citing bizarre footage of Meghan's bump shifting shape mid-interview. Internet sleuths have obsessed over that video for years. But now, it's not a fringe conspiracy theory. It's a headline on international news sites. And with Harry reportedly enraged behind closed doors, sources say attorneys have been activated. The Sussexes are exploring defamation claims. But here's the problem. Suing would mean discovery, and discovery means medical records, witnesses, internal emails, potentially even PR briefings, the kind of evidence that could upend not just the Sussexes' image, but the monarchy itself. So what exactly are they hiding? That's the question echoing through every royal watcher's timeline. If the births happened as claimed, why not release a simple letter from the doctor as has been done for generations? Why no hospital step photo? Why no witness statements? No detailed briefings? No ceremonial car seat exits like we saw with Kate and William's children? For Archie, Meghan disappeared from view for nearly 2 months before surfacing with a blanket-swaddled newborn and a photo op that felt rushed, stiff, and oddly staged. For Lilibet, born in California, there was no hospital confirmation, no named staff, no timeline, just a press release.
Some critics are going to say, well, you're taking private struggles and you're bringing them into the public and you're making money off of them.
For me, having seen my family and the institution's part in constantly feeding the British press with lies, mistruths, disinformation, the way that I can correct those mistruths is by writing something, the truth.
Compare that to the way Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis were introduced to the world. Same hospital, same door, same white dress, styled blowout, and smiling parents with freshly wrapped babies. Those were events, traditions, rituals. With Meghan and Harry, silence, followed by Instagram. The question practically asks itself, were they trying to bypass something? Or someone? That's where the rumors of surrogate contracts start gaining traction. Insiders claim NDAs were signed, clinics contacted, a private legal team drafted non-disclosure agreements so tight they'd make a Buckingham Palace butler sweat. One LA-based attorney, who's worked with celebrity families and high-net-worth individuals using surrogate services, told tabloids that the markers were all there. Controlled announcement, vague timelines, no medical confirmation. If these whispers are true, and again, we're in the realm of credible speculation, it wouldn't just be a matter of personal privacy. It would be a violation of royal protocol that governs succession, titles, and legitimacy. And the implications go far beyond gossip. If Lilibet and Archie were not born in accordance with royal tradition, does that impact their place in the line of succession? Were the palace and the public deliberately misled? And why would Harry and Meghan risk that level of secrecy, unless they believed the fallout from the truth would be worse? According to multiple sources, the couple is terrified that the courtroom may become the stage for their undoing. Yet they're furious enough to consider it anyway. "Let him sue me," Lady Colin said, staring directly into the lens. She dared Harry to file, and the moment she did, the game changed, because now the narrative isn't about whether the rumors are true, it's about why the Sussexes are acting like they have something to hide. Tom Bower's sources say the couple is circling wagons. Their new Montecito court of staffers, a lean, hand-picked team mimicking royal infrastructure, has been working overtime. Crisis management meetings, PR refreshes, whispered calls to producers and publicists across Hollywood, and still, it's not working. The media tide isn't just turning, it's recoiling. What was once seen as a bold escape from an outdated institution now looks more like a carefully engineered escape hatch from accountability.
I think that, as we've spoken about, this show has completely underperformed. It did not really appear on the Spotify charts. This was, of course, the podcast that she made with Lemonada Media. It's still unclear, actually, about what money has come from this podcast. So originally, when she signed up with Spotify, there was money up front. That deal went south. She signed up with Lemonada.
Even Hollywood is stepping back. Meghan's podcast deal with Spotify collapsed. Her Netflix show debuted quietly and faded fast. And her lifestyle brand launched with jam jars and herbal teas, then abruptly paused with no restock. And now, she's gone from aspirational icon to something far murkier. Someone whose entire public arc is shadowed by ambiguity and contradiction. She says she's a founder, a philanthropist, a voice for women, yet nearly every venture has been tied directly to her title, her proximity to the crown, or her willingness to tease drama from behind palace walls.
There has always been this competition between us, weirdly. Again, I think it really plays into, or is played by, the heir spare.
And Harry? According to Bauer, he's increasingly isolated, emotionally, financially, even spiritually. Friends from his old life have fallen away. Charity roles are being quietly relinquished. He's still clinging to his royal status, even as his brother, Prince William, reportedly hardens his stance. No return, no forgiveness, no olive branches. And behind the scenes, King Charles has gone radio silent. Not out of indifference, but out of strategy. As one source put it bluntly, they've drawn the line. And the Sussexes aren't on the right side of it. That may explain the desperation now bleeding into their decisions. Launching a wine brand on Queen Camilla's birthday, posting curated anniversary mood boards that critics say feel more like teenage diary entries than a couple building a legacy, whispering to the press about privacy, then appearing on every streaming service that'll cut a check. They want the optics of royalty without the structure, the glamour without the protocol, the sympathy without the scrutiny.
You've got to take them in the totality. The fact that Meghan Markle lied about the fact that she had no idea who Prince Andrew was and spent an entire event claiming that she didn't know who he was. The fact that she lied about not knowing anything about the royal.
But what happens when that strategy stops working? We're watching it now. Public sentiment is shifting. Even longtime fans are starting to ask the uncomfortable questions. Why haven't we seen Lilibet in public, not even once, apart from a birthday photo taken by a friend? Why were the few pregnancy images of Meghan oddly sparse, strategically lit, and in some cases, bizarrely inconsistent? Why is every clarification from their camp so vague, so non-committal, so carefully constructed to say just enough without revealing anything? And what's at stake if the biographers are right? If Bauer and Lady C really do have what they claim, documentation, witness testimony, investigative findings, the consequences could be monumental, not just for the Sussexes' public image, but for their children's legitimacy within the royal framework, for their financial future, which hinges on the allure of their insider status, for their standing in LA's elite circles, which thrive on curated authenticity, and for Harry's already fraying ties to his own bloodline.
In the world.
There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations and then in order for reconciliation, and part of that has to be accountability.
We're told the Sussexes are preparing to strike back, that their legal counsel is combing every inch of these allegations for slander, for malice, for anything that would justify court filings. But if they pull the trigger, they open the vault, and if they stay silent, they risk being defined by a silence that now sounds like an answer. And the biographers? They're not backing down. Tom Bauer has promised more revelations, new chapters, new insider testimony, a second book that, by his own words, could fascinate the world with what it uncovers. If they're bluffing, it's a high-stakes one. But if they're not, if this material really exists, it's the kind of scandal that not only shakes the Sussexes, but ripples across the monarchy itself.
Not stupid. We get it. We see that you did know who they were. And what you've done is you've shown yourself in the past how you've tried to have the likeness of the late Diana and Catherine. And writing this article about her shows you that you clearly knew.
And we haven't even touched on the timeline, because tucked inside the fog of surrogacy rumors and protocol violations lies something even more unsettling: the invisible pregnancy calendar. Those lost weeks, those tightly cropped photos, the missing doctors, the shifting due dates, the postnatal photos that look nothing like postnatal parents. Every gap, every omission, every unexplained delay now reads like a breadcrumb in a larger mystery, and that mystery may soon become a courtroom exhibit. Because Lady C and Tom Bauer aren't just making noise. They're laying groundwork. They're inviting the legal process. They're begging to be sued. And that may be the boldest move of all. Because if Harry and Meghan step into that arena, win or lose, they will be forced to explain things they've avoided for 5 years. Forced to give dates, documents, depositions, forced to go on record, not in a friendly interview, but under oath.
It's nothing. And without her, Harry's life in America is nothing.
Yes, exactly.
He has a reputation to fall back
So they
on.
have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, they need each other.
Yeah.
So the question now isn't just what's true, it's how far they're willing to go to keep certain truths buried. Because if this goes to court, and just when it couldn't get more precarious for the Sussexes, the spotlight shifted from mystery births to power moves behind the scenes. Because while Meghan presents herself as a serene entrepreneur mom hybrid, insiders say her real role is something much sharper. Strategist-in-chief. For years, she's worked LA like a chessboard, pulling levers through elite publicists, NDA sealed alliances, and curated friendships with A-listers who know exactly when to post, comment, or fall conspicuously silent. But those maneuvers, once considered savvy, now look like survival tactics. Because Hollywood isn't buying what Meghan's selling anymore, and the brand is hemorrhaging relevance.
There was this story that Meghan, had her people approach someone about a divorce book. But I mean, imagine if Meghan left Harry, it would destroy her reputation. She would be eviscerated publicly because she's already slipped into this kind of category on social media, the way that pop culture commentators talk about her. They lump her in with Amber Heard. They lump her in with, these other famous women who are perceived as being narcissistic or, being controlling of their husband.
Multiple producers have confirmed that her Netflix series with Love Meghan didn't pull the numbers hoped for. The hype didn't match the viewership. And while the debut of her lifestyle line, As Ever, generated a quick burst of buzz, the shelves haven't been restocked since April. Instead, we got vague promises about data analysis and hospitality verticals down the line. But behind that polished script, a flurry of internal shakeups and what sources say is a quiet pause in brand investment. It's not just a pivot, it smells like a stall. Even her podcast rollout, once championed as a comeback moment, arrived flatter than expected. The Lemonade media deal got attention, but critics noted Meghan's content lacked depth. Female founders spoke, yes, but many episodes veered into self-promotion, and then there was the subtle but pointed name-drop moment where Meghan said, "Don't ask anyone's opinion on your baby's name." A not-so-veiled reference many believe to the Lilibet controversy. That kind of meta-commentary may work for influencers, but for someone trying to rebrand as a billion-dollar mogul, it risks looking petty.
Reportedly bullied virtually everybody who's ever worked for her. She can't keep a staff in London. She can't keep a staff in Montecito. She's a bully. She's obsessed with her own ego, face on television, etc., and playing the victim. So no amount of humanizing videos, even if she managed to find one, are going to work. If you actually are a good person, you don't show up at the Uvalde mass school shooting and put yourself on camera and make it about you.
Hollywood sources say the problem isn't just content, it's tone. What used to read as ambition now comes off as entitlement. One former streaming executive told us, "There's a fatigue setting in. The narrative's too controlled, too rehearsed. People sense when it's not authentic anymore, and that might explain why Netflix, initially the Sussexes' most powerful partner, is reportedly reevaluating how many eggs it wants to keep in this particular basket. Meanwhile, the pressure cooker is taking its toll behind the curtain. According to royal biographer Tom Bauer, Harry is no longer a co-pilot, he's a passenger, and it shows. Public appearances have become rare, muted. His solo efforts, like the latest Scentiball fallout, have ended in controversy with accusations of misconduct and even bullying at scale lodged by the charity's chair. What started as a noble continuation of Princess Diana's legacy now appears mired in dysfunction.
To tell your story now. Your brother may never have that chance to tell his side of the story. Are you sympathetic to that?
Yes, 100%. And I think, after I've done this, the book comes out, I would hope that other members of the family feel as though they can.
Multiple insiders suggest Harry's emotional state is slipping. The once charismatic prince who could charm a stadium now seems withdrawn, aimless. Reports of him feeling isolated in Montecito have been circulating for months. His old friends from the UK, most of whom reportedly clashed with Meghan early on, are out of the picture. And now, whispers say, he's been quietly reaching out to confidants in London, trying to find his footing, even as Meghan builds an empire he may no longer recognize. And then there's the rumor that refuses to die, the paternity test. Multiple unnamed sources have hinted at a secret DNA verification conducted years ago, allegedly connected to long-standing gossip about Harry's own parentage. The story is ugly, invasive, and deeply personal. But if it's even partly true, it could explain his lingering sense of displacement, his mistrust of the institution, his retreat from his own bloodline. And if court proceedings triggered by the birth rumors force private records into the open, that document, if it exists, could be subpoenaed. The consequences wouldn't just devastate Harry, they'd collapse the already fragile bridge between him and the royals.
I don't think so, because William's a bit like me. He doesn't actually view Harry as a victim. He doesn't. He views Harry as someone who has been a complicit part in an attempt to bring down the British royal family. And so that doesn't make him a victim. Like, he might be a victim of Meghan, but he's not a victim in terms of his behavior.
The emotional fallout is already visible. Meghan continues to position herself as the face of their brand, taking the lead in business and media. Harry, once hailed as the modern prince who broke the mold, is now increasingly seen as a cautionary tale. A man without a country, a title without a role, a royal in exile. And if reports are true, he may be more dependent on Meghan than ever, financially, emotionally, logistically. That kind of power imbalance isn't just tragic, it's combustible. The couple's move to create their own court of staffers, a communications machine built to mirror the palace, was supposed to signal maturity and control. Instead, it sparked backlash. Critics slammed the decision as hypocritical, especially after Harry's own memoir blasted palace aides as manipulative and heartless. Why recreate what you claim to escape from? And it's not just royal commentators raising eyebrows. Hollywood publicists, once eager to associate with the Sussex sparkle, are getting cold feet. Some no longer pitch their names to press. One veteran PR executive told us off record, they've become unpredictable. You don't know if helping them will burn you later. That kind of reputational risk is lethal in a town that thrives on image.
And if I were, if I were a troublemaker, I might accuse Harry and Meghan of unconscious bias in the employment department, looking at all the new faces that are coming on to work for Harry and Meghan independently and together for their entertainment ventures. And if history repeats itself as much as Harry whines that it does, both Harry and Meghan will continue to reject any and all sound advice and will potentially treat their staff poorly, so good luck.
Add to that the simmering reports about the couple's strained dynamic. According to body language experts, recent public appearances suggest tension. Meghan often leads, Harry follows. Smiles seem rehearsed, and when the cameras aren't rolling, they rarely linger. Then there are the whispers, fueled by former staff, that Meghan's ambition is outpacing their shared goals. She wants to be a billionaire, he wants to be a father and a peacemaker. Those aren't just lifestyle differences, they're clashing ideologies. Some royal experts even claim Meghan is preparing for a future that doesn't necessarily include Harry, at least not in the way we think. Her media projects are increasingly solo, her interviews, solo. Her branding, all under Meghan, or the Duchess. And now, we're hearing quiet chatter that Meghan's next move could be fashion. A clothing line teased vaguely in multiple interviews, a vertical built entirely around her name. Not their name, hers.
Leave the children, you see. And in America, the rules about, children, they're always with the mother, nearly always.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so it's not going to happen. So do you remember everyone, when they got married, a lot of members actually of the royal family even said, it won't last 5 years. But it has.
It has.
Yeah.
It's lasted 7.
Yeah.
Through a lot of crises, through a lot of,
huge pressure.
The question we're now forced to ask is brutal. If the legal battle over Archie and Lilibet's birth escalates, and if the evidence really does exist, could it not only fracture their public image, but their private bond? Could Harry, who's already lost so much, find himself facing the ultimate betrayal, not from his family, but from within his own household? We're standing on the edge of something massive. If the Sussexes take this fight to court, it's not just media spin at risk. They could expose every secret they've worked to bury. Confidential medical history, surrogacy contracts, legal filings, NDism, personal emails, and if Harry's rumored paternity test ever surfaces, whether as collateral damage or deliberate leverage, it could irreparably sever his last threads to the House of Windsor. So we have to wonder, is this the beginning of the end for the couple who once promised to rewrite royal history? Will they burn it all down to prove a point? Or are they already watching it fall apart? Let us know what you think. Could one courtroom showdown unravel the most controlled brand in royal exile? Drop your theories in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching Scandal Seekers. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and stay tuned.